Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, sister. Hello. It's been a while. And I do have valid reasons. So do forgive me. Welcome back to the Radio Woman podcast. It is season 3. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. Bismillah Rahmanir Rahim. I just wanted to say a big thank you to everyone that has stuck with the podcast while I have been away. Like I said, I do have valid reasons for why I've been away. So in the past 1 year, I've had like a crazy year, and Alhamdulillah, I and my family moved countries late last year, so it's taking a lot to kind of adjust. So that's like my brief explanation of why I've been away, but I'll talk more about it as we go along this podcast. Today I'll be talking about the seasons of life because clearly like I've gone through it this past year. So I'll be talking about the seasons of life, embracing them, how we can navigate them, and most importantly, like growing through them, right? So, what prompted me to decide to talk about seasons? During Ramadan, I still mustered some energy to kind of do like a Ramadan planning workshop, and someone suggested we should do like a post Ramadan review session, which I thought really made sense because I mean, if we had planned for Ramadan, then it only makes sense to also like do like a review to say, how did it go? What were some of our lessons and all that? So during that post Ramadan review session, a dear sister, shout out Sister Shakira, had mentioned that one thing she was going to hold on from what I had said during the session was, about considering our seasons when we are striving to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also just trying to go about the daily hustle and bustle of life. And I also remember that during the tribe webinar that I hosted January of last year, a participant had also mentioned that a major takeaway for her during that webinar was something I had said about seasons. So it kind of made me think that maybe this is something that we don't talk about a lot. And for me, it's such a powerful concept because for me, I find seasons, just acknowledging seasons, have brought me so much ease and comfort. And I know this is something that it can also do for other people, just acknowledging and knowing that life is in seasons, right? So I decided that, you know what, I'm going to talk about it because just knowing that I am going through a phase, I'm going through a season, has kept me grounded during this really, really courageous transition in my life. So let's get into it. Bismillah. So when we talk about seasons of life, we refer to that idea that life, just like the natural order of things, goes through various phases or periods, each of them having their own distinct characteristics. So, for example, you know how we have spring, summer, autumn, winter, right? So those are seasons that we have in life. So that's like the natural order. So particularly for those that live in like the temperate regions, you would see the seasons as they come. So quarterly, it changes, right? So our lives also comprise of various seasons that bring their own challenges, opportunities, and lessons. And for me, subhanallah, I had lived abroad when I went for my master's degree, but for some reason, I don't know, maybe I was in a trance or I was blinded or something, I don't know, but I never really enjoyed or fully immersed myself in the concept of seasons at that point. Perhaps maybe because of my age or something, I don't know, but I just did not really appreciate that concept. But coming here, I think I had more time. I was more relaxed. I was more into being rather than doing at that point. So I was really able to appreciate. So we came in autumn, we moved in autumn. So in autumn, the flowers are so beautiful. It's just like so colorful, and you're just like, subhanallah, mashallah, like this is amazing. I remember my kids just saying, wow, mommy, like it is beautiful. It's a sight to behold. And from there, we moved to winter where the leaves started to fall and things were looking like barren, dead. And now we are like in spring, and I remember the plants blossoming, and I'm like, Subhanallah, like Allah is so magnificent, the way He has planned everything. So I have really been able to appreciate seasons, just seeing them, how they unfold, how things transition. It has been beautiful. It has been absolutely beautiful. So, talking about, we'll start with spring, right? And when I'm talking about seasons, I want you to think about it in terms of every aspect of your life. So, whether it's yourself in terms of like your personal development, your marriage or your relationships, your career or business, your rest, recreation, family, your finances, your health. I want you to look at it in those spheres, because as human beings, we have different aspects of our lives, right? So I don't just want you to think about it like, oh, the seasons like as it is, but the whole idea is to apply the concept of seasons to your life, basically. So spring is, it just represents newness, like everything is cha-ching, looking nice and all that. So it's a time of new beginnings, the time of growth, renewal. You see things that were dead before becoming, there's life, right? It's a season where we plant seeds, both literally and metaphorically. So when I mean plant seeds, so we put in effort for the future. Like in spring, there are lots and lots of ideas flying around. You're restless, you want to do stuff and all that. So in this season, that is where you start seeing opportunities everywhere, even when you didn't previously see it, right? So your mind is buzzing. It's a time for grabbing opportunities. So in this period, you really, really want to make sure that you write down those ideas, ladies. Write down those ideas. Don't just leave them in your mind, because quickly you realize that your brain can only take too much, or can only keep so much information. So here, spring for you might mean maybe starting a new job. It might mean embarking on a new project or a new relationship, learning a new skill. In terms of your worship, it might be that period where you feel so strongly about a particular type of worship. Maybe you feel so strongly about, oh, I really want to start fasting. I really want to start doing voluntary fast. I really want to start doing my tahajjud. I really want to go full throttle on like my Quran. Maybe I was reading twice. You're feeling so strongly about something, right? So that season, it's full of hope, it's full of potentials, opportunities, but you also need to be patient, and you need to nurture those feelings coming up with in you, those ideas, that restlessness. You need to nurture it. So how do you thrive during this season? How do you ride the wave of your spring season? So because this period is a time that you're bubbling with ideas, you're restless, you want to make sure that you set clear goals. You need to set clear goals. So you need to identify, after you've put down all these ideas, write them down, ladies, write them down. Once you've put down all these things that are buzzing in your mind, you want to prioritize them. Okay, based on my situation, what can I actually realistically work on? You want to write them down. You want to prioritize. You want to create a roadmap for how you're going to achieve that thing that you want to. So if it's in your worship, if it's something interesting that you want to start doing with your spouse, if it's something you want to start doing with your kids, you want to make sure that you have a roadmap, a plan to do it, right? So this is the time for setting clear goals, both short-term and long-term. You also want to embrace learning, because sometimes we want to do something. There's the idea that we have, there's something we want to pursue, but we do not have the skill set, or we do not have the experience to help us execute on it. And if we are not careful, we might start feeling stuck or overwhelmed. So here you want to also embrace learning. So you want to be open to learning new skills and knowledge that can help you in your new endeavor. Also, you want to network, build relationships. So surround yourself with supportive individuals who can, provide you guidance, and most of all, encourage you. So even if they cannot help you directly, even if it's just you're doing well, keep it up, do this, do that, it helps a whole lot in this season. So now moving on to summer. So after spring, so when we think about like, oh, let's even use like a farmer, for example. So in spring is when you plant those seeds, right? So summer is now the time to nurture. So summer is full bloom, basically. So you don't just plant the seeds and go away. A farmer won't just plant and go away. You need to water the seeds, you need to nurture the seeds, you need to make sure that the weeds are not disturbing the seeds, you need to make sure that it's getting enough sunlight, whatever the case, whatever you might have to do, right? So summer is that period of nurturing. It's a period of abundance, it's a period of vibrancy, activities, a lot of activities, and it's also a time of fruition. So when, things come, so the plants will start growing. So those seeds that you planted, they start growing. You start seeing them like full picture, like tangible results, right? So it's when the efforts that we made in spring start to pay off and we can enjoy the fruits of our labor, in quotes. So for us, it might look like when we are thriving in our careers, in our our relationships are flourishing. We feel very energetic, optimistic, and it's often a very busy period, but a fulfilling time because like you are active in doing things that like, oh, you those ideas or those things you're really active in, executing. But it's also very exhausting and it's full of distractions. So that's something you need to bear in mind. So I remember when we came and everybody's like, oh, this is, autumn, this is winter. So activities are just, meh, like, things are not going on. But summer, everybody's out, we're out here, like everybody's out there and you guys will see like everywhere is going to be bubbling. And for me, it's like, that's so true because in my head, I was like, well, always going out to see people in summer and everything. But now that we're approaching summer, I can see that things are actually very, very busy. And for you, if you have something you're working on, if there's a purpose that you're trying to fulfill, it can be a time of distractions, right? So it is very important that you stay balanced and, avoid burnout during this season. It is very, very important. Burnout is real because you are very active during the summer season. So how do you thrive in summer, right? So you need to stay focused and organized. Organization is very key here because, like I said, you are a bundle of activity during this time. So if it's in your worship, you're doing so many things, so many things, and that you're raking up those rewards, but you also need to make sure that you take care of yourself, you stay organized so that you do not fizzle out, right? It's like in Ramadan when we are doing all those things, but we still need to calm down. We still need to be mindful so that we don't burn out. In this period, you want to use planners, you want to use to-do lists to keep track of, your activities, your tasks, and also deadlines. You want to maintain consistent efforts. So work steadily towards your goals, work steadily on anything that you are working on that you had started during your spring season. You want to balance work and rest. You want to seek feedback as well. So regularly assess your progress and be willing to make necessary adjustments. So because you're, doing so many things, you want to occasionally or deliberately stop at different points to say, okay, these things I'm doing, are they moving me in the right direction, or am I going off tangent, so that you can reevaluate and come back and continue working in the right direction that you want to go. So you also want to be flexible and make adjustments. After the summer season comes autumn. Autumn represents a time of change, transition, harvest. So you have planted the seeds in spring, you have nurtured that seed, it's become a plant, it's become a crop in summer, and in autumn it's now time for you to harvest, right? So it is time for you to start reaping the benefits of your work, or the effort that you have put in, or otherwise. So if you did not do a lot during the summer season, it's also time to start reflecting and preparing. So do not despair, because lives, things happen, and sometimes we might have started our summer season well, and over time something happens and we are not able to sustain that momentum, and you might not be getting the results that you envisioned. So it's not the time to despair. You have to be accountable during this season. Be accountable to yourself, be true to yourself, and say, okay, this is what went wrong, this is what happened. But do not stay stuck if you were not able to utilize your summer season as well as you wanted to, right? So the autumn season is for you to harvest, reap the good that you have done, but it's also a time for you to reflect and start preparing. So reflect on what you've achieved, what's made it possible for you, really immerse yourself in gratitude to say, Alhamdulillah, I was able to do this. You also want to take stock, make necessary adjustments, and let go of things that no longer serve you. So this season can be very bittersweet, as it always involves, most times it involves both celebration and also release, right? So this season is where your successes and your failure, in quotes, becomes very evident. So it's like, oh, after all that activity, what did we achieve? What is the result, right? So this is what happens in autumn season. And it is very important that we slow down and actually take the autumn season seriously. If not, we run the risk of just doing without pausing to actually take stock, to actually be and think about what we are doing right or otherwise, right? So in autumn season, how do you thrive? So what you want to do in your autumn season, you want to reflect, take time to evaluate what you've achieved, what needs improvement, what you can do better, what went wrong. You want to be accountable. You want to focus on fine-tuning your work, what you're working on, fine-tune it. You want to address any weaknesses, both in your approach, in yourself. You want to address them and see, okay, how can I get better? But for your strengths, you also want to acknowledge your strengths and see how you can even make them better, take them to the next level. Then you want to prepare to transition. So start planning for the next phase, which is winter, so that you can ensure a smooth transition. Now let's go to winter. So in winter is basically a time of rest. So when I think about winter, it might seem like I feel like winter is just a time of like sadness, or everything is just slow and like a Debbie Downy kind of feeling, but not necessarily, right? So based on what I said, if you had utilized your summer well, you had made sure that you captured those things bubbling in your heart during spring, you've put in efforts, you have executed, you have harvested. Winter can be a time where you're just resting, trying to recoup. So it's a time of rest, it's a time of reflection, conserving energy, really. So this period, it's quieter, it's more introspective. It's where we might also face challenges or slow down to gather strength for the future. So personally, it could be a period where maybe you're dealing with hardships, sadness, heartbreak, illness, loneliness, and it's also a time where you can be focusing on self-care and just withdrawing so that you can come back stronger, basically. So while it can be a challenging or isolating time, it's also offers us an opportunity for deep reflection and inner growth. So like in winter, when we talk about, again, look back at the story of like the farmer. In winter, what they're doing is they're storing those things they have harvested for the rainy season, right? So in winter, what do you want to do? You want to rest and recharge. You want to take a break to recover from the intense activity of the previous season. And again, if you do not make use of your summer, your autumn, for whatever reason that might have happened, it's okay. It's a time to reflect and think about how you can make use of the next opportunity or the next period of, restlessness or things that are bubbling in your heart that you want to do. So it's that time. You also want to analyze, reflect on the lessons learned, analyze your experiences to understand what worked and what didn't. And you want to plan for your future, really. You want to use the insights gained from the previous cycle to prepare for the next cycle. There are things I want you to note about the seasons, right? So when it comes to life seasons, you want to know that they are natural. They are very natural, and they are cyclical. So they change. So just as nature, just as we move from spring to summer to autumn to winter, you want to understand that our lives seasons also change, right? And each season has its own purpose, it has its own importance, and how it contributes to our overall growth and development in every aspect of our lives. So this cyclical and changing nature of our lives tells us, it means that no condition is permanent, no season lasts forever. If you're going through a tough time, know that it will pass. And if you're going through a good time, also know that a test might be just around the corner. So no condition is permanent, no situation lasts forever. So just as winter will inevitably give way to spring, the challenging times in our lives will eventually lead to new beginnings and opportunities. Like, that's some period, that is it. That is what Allah has told us, right? Allah has told us that He will not give us a burden that we cannot bear. He has also told us that with hardship comes ease, right? So it's a given, it's a known fact. So just knowing that would help you. I'm rounding off on just the seasons before I go into my own personal update. Another thing I wanted to point out about seasons is every individual on earth is going through their own season, regardless of what the natural order is saying. So just like how the people on the North Pole, is it North Pole now? Temperate regions are going through, we are in spring right now, approaching summer. The people in the tropical regions are in, I think they're in winter now. So South Africa and co. Miss Odumoso, I'm sorry. But yeah, that's my geography for you. But I hope you get what I mean. So just as people in North America, in the northern parts, if you divide the world into two, are in spring going into summer, the people that are in the southern hemisphere, they're going into, I think they're winter, going into winter season now. So just like that, every individual on this earth is going through their own season, regardless of what is happening. So for example, I might be going through a summer season in my life. Meanwhile, you that is listening to me is going through a spring or a winter season. So why this is very important is it helps you, in case you are falling into that trap of comparison, it will help you realize that everybody is running their own race. Just because me and you, we are the same age, we have the same number of kids, we are working at the same job, or we live in the same area, it doesn't mean that we are going through the same season at that time, right? So it just kind of helps to stop that evil of comparison if you are being disturbed by it. Then something else is, as an individual, you yourself, you can be going through different seasons in different aspects of your life. So for example, you might be going through a summer season in your worship, in your acts of worship. So you're really going full throttle, you are and Allah, you're G's at this time. Meanwhile, in your relationship or in your career, you're going through a winter season, or you're going through some spring, whatever. So what I'm just trying to say is, even in your life, in the various aspects of your life, you are going through different seasons, and it's okay. That's just life for you. So understanding and embracing this, cycles just help us to navigate life with greater resilience and hope, knowing that each season, whether it's joyful, whether it's challenging, is a necessary part of our journey, and things will change. So coming back to me now, what has been up with me? So I have been away for a while. I think the last episode that I released was about my Umrah trip that happened last year, March. And even before that, I had been away from the podcast for 2 or 3 months. So it's been a challenging time. So from October of 2022 to August of 2023, when we moved to Canada. So we moved, I and my family moved to Canada. Shout out to my Canada peeps. I'm here now. What do you have for your girl? I'm here. So you guys have finally dragged me here. And honestly, it's been beautiful. So I'm here. Shout out to your girl. Do you have business for me? Do you have collaborations for me? I'm here. I'm ready. So yeah. So thank you guys. My Canadian people have been so sweet. Subhanallah, so sweet. Anyways, so I moved with my family at the end of August, but before then, I went through a very, very stressful period. So in October, my mom got a diagnosis and, she was super ill. And being like the only one that was around, I took on that responsibility of having to take her around, care for her. And I was also combining this with a full-time job, trying to run Nisaba, trying to run the podcast, trying to send newsletters. So it was a very stressful time for me. Last year, my brother also got married. So it was a very exciting and happy time for my family. But that also meant more stress for me because that was more things to do. So it was a very stressful period for me between October 2022 and August 2023 when I left Nigeria. So I went through a long summer, longer than it should have been, because I was a bundle of activity, right? I was doing so many things. And subhanallah, that summer blessed me. That period blessed me, but it also burned me out. Like, I was overstimulated. I was super stressed. I didn't have time to rest. I didn't have time to rejuvenate. It was crazy. It was crazy. So I was overwhelmed. I started to put off things that I love to do, like the podcast. Writing became like a chore. Even though I managed to churn out some things. So I think what happened was, I should have slowed down, but I kept trugging on, like, no, I don't want to drop the ball. I want to be consistent, and that burnt me out. So things that came rather easily to me became harder to do. I was heavy my heart was heavy. I was emotionally heavy. Like, there was just this cloud over me. I became super distracted. I struggled with my time. I struggled with my worship. And even though, there are periods where my situation drew me very close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I also had periods where I kind of felt distant, right? I was all over the place. The long and short is, I was under intense stress, and I was beginning to have anxiety. Self-doubt was also rearing its head in the corner. It was just a mess, really. I couldn't keep up with Nisaba, so I was just like, at some point, I was just like, I need to take a break. I can't keep doing this. So I literally shut down. And then I realized that we needed to move. And the time frame was so short. I had like a 3-month period, and it was crazy. It was crazy, guys. Like, super grateful. But I need to shout out to people that came through for me, that knew what was happening, and they really came through for me. So then Nigeria was also Nigeria, and at that time, fuel scarcity, the light situation was terrible. So for me, it started to look like moving was like a break for me. It was a holiday for me. So I was just like, you know what? I cannot wait to leave this place, because I needed to catch a break, because Nigeria was adding to my struggles, honestly. So coming here, I said it was going to be like a break for me. So I kind of was aware that I wasn't going to rush into the hustle and bustle when I got here. I intended to take it slow. So at that point, I had started to realize that, I need to calm down. If not, may I not fall into what I don't want to fall into, right? So I kind of knew that I was going to go into like the autumn season when I get to Canada, autumn season of my life. And that's exactly what happened. So mentally, I started to feel better when we moved. I started to feel better. I did face challenges like every other new migrant. So, looking for a space was stressful, but it was cushioned because, alhamdulillah, I had family, I had friends that had come to Canada to settle like years and years before. So I didn't feel the brunt as much as some other people would have, alhamdulillah. And we had a lot of support, which was great. So we eventually found a space. By the time we found a space, the whole issue with Palestine happened, and that started to aggravate me. And at that same time, I and my husband had decided to start homeschooling our kids. And that was a new ball game for me. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. So I started to fall, basically. So even though I knew that it was a time of rest for me because of everything that was going on, I started to, I don't know how to put it now, I started to let things get to me, basically. So with homeschooling, I didn't know what I was doing. I was confused. I was like, am I doing the right thing? All my life, all I had known was school. That's what we do. We grow up, we go to school. And I'm like, your parents don't understand what you're doing. And so that sometimes you're like, do I know what I'm doing? So all those things, coupled with what's happening in the world, it just became too much for me. So towards the end of the year, I noticed that my health became poorly. I started to feel like my heart rate started to go up and all that. I gained weight, and I just started to feel like, oh, my thyroid was getting out of whack. So at the beginning of the year, alhamdulillah, I was able to get a family doctor. I went in for like a test just to check that everything was okay, and my instincts were right. My thyroid levels were beginning to rise again. So it was time for me to prioritize self-care. So this is up until like January of this year. So I continue to take it easy, and alhamdulillah, I've been good so far. As I'm speaking to you today, my thyroid levels are back in check, but I had to make sure that I prioritize myself. So I started to work out again, like taking my walks. I started to eat right again. So that really helped me. I rested, tried to find things to do that I enjoyed doing. I immersed myself in like nature, just looking at nature, taking walks and all that. They really, really helped me. So in the past 1 month, it's just in this past 1 month that I've started to kind of feel agitated again. So from about March, I entered the spring season of my life. So I started to feel restless. So it's as if my brain was like, okay, you've rested for so long, it's time to start doing. So I started to get ideas, I started seeing opportunities, and I started to get restless, basically. So, getting those ideas and everything, then, I started to say, okay, let me start looking for like a job, because Naira to Canada conversion is not making sense right now. I'm sure everybody in the abroad that is still changing money understands what I mean. So I'm like, okay, let me start looking for a job. So I've started to do that actively, and I haven't seen much progress on that end. I've started, my business again, trying to push like the exercise tuning. So guys, if you want to, get your modest workout wear, please visit Shop Nisaba or our website shop.nisaba.com. We're here to serve you. We're here to give you like the most comfortable exercise workout clothes that you would need on all your workouts. You can use it for every and anything, and it's so comfortable, guys. So comfortable. So please, help your girl over here. A business needs to grow. Anyway, so I started looking for a job, and I wasn't getting a lot of progress on that, even though the effort I put into it as well. I cannot say it's like 100%, but I think that started to get to me like this past month. But alhamdulillah for friends and sisters that have my back and are there to just kind of remind me of how amazing I am, and how just to keep my mind on the primary focus on this world, and inshallah things will fall in place. So that's what has been happening with me for like this past 1 year. I mean, everything is condensed because it is, but I just wanted to share that and just relate it to how I have been going through the seasons as well. So now I am in my summer season. So it's summertime, babies, summertime. So it's time to get in that work. It's time to launch stuff. It's time to put in effort. So that's where I am right now. I wanted to also share that during this season, as difficult as it was, I have learned so many things about myself, and I've also gained insights, and I have grown. Through this tough time, I've also learned to be more resilient. I've learned to prioritize, myself, and I've also learned the importance of support systems. So I realized that it's okay to ask for help. I realized that taking time to rest and reflect is not a sign of weakness, but a necessary part of growth and a necessary part of staying sane. These experiences have made me stronger and more determined to move forward. It's made me put what really matters into perspective, and I'm forever grateful for it. So, as I wrap up this podcast today, I just wanted to share a few things that I feel can help with anybody struggling or going through a season right now, whether good or bad, some coping mechanisms, some growth strategies, how to build resilience, how to keep stress at bay. So number one on that list would be holding steadfast to the rope of Allah, holding steadfast to your faith, seeking support. Hold steadfast to your faith, sisters. Hold steadfast to your faith. Like, it's so important that no matter what's happening, your barest minimum should not fall below your barest minimum. So hold on to your salah, hold on to your Quran recitation, your askars, those things that you're able to do. Just hold on to them. Engage in regular your prayer. Don't start skipping your prayers. Keep those barest minimum. Just keep them stable. Practice mindfulness. So I picked up Quran journaling earlier this year, and it's been so amazing. All those things keep you grounded. Seek guidance. So for me, even all through the stress, something that I made sure that I continued to do was keep learning. So I stuck with my learning. There was periods where maybe I would skip classes sometimes, but I just kept going back because those are the things that kind of keep me grounded. What shows that might keep you uplifted, motivated, try to stick with it. Just staying involved in making sure that, you are reading, you are listening to stuff that will keep your eyes on the goal is very important. Trust in Allah's words and promises. Cultivate that mindset of trust. Allah would always be with you. He would never leave you, even for the blinking of an eye. Just ask him. He would never leave you. So just believing that every season has a purpose for you would help you. So just hold on to the rope of Allah. Hold on to it. Then self-care is very important. Take care of your physical, mental, and emotional health. So maintain a healthy lifestyle, eat right, sleep well, exercise. All those things are very important. For your mental health, you want to identify your stressors, know what stress you out. Practice mindfulness. Stay in being, just be with yourself more. Let go of things. Don't worry too much about the future. Don't delve too much into the past. Try and stay present. Take breaks when you need. All these things will help you reduce anxiety and stress. You also want to manage your time. Prioritize tasks. Manage your time. Because especially as moms, there's only so much we can do. My major complaint this past few weeks or months is I feel like I'm doing a lot, but I'm also not doing a lot. I feel like my time is just all over the place, especially because the kids are home. I'm trying to work on my own projects and everything. So I've just been God, what am I doing? So I know that I need to go back to the drawing board, prioritize my task, right, so that I can manage my time well. So prioritize what you need to do so that you can manage your time effectively. Use tools like planners, apps. I had to buy a book or pen and paper. I'm not even looking for technology again. Just let me write it on pen and paper so I can see it. So that's what I have resolved to. But of course, I still use calendars and everything because there are sometimes I just need that prompt. So I still use technology. But if you just need to write down, please do what you have to do so that you can reduce overwhelm. In terms of your emotional health, try and think of things that bring you joy, relax you. So I picked up reading again. I started spending time in nature by walking. And alhamdulillah, where we are, there are lots of trees, lots of things that you can see them, you can appreciate them. So that has been very good for me. I'm practicing self-compassion, being kind to myself. I'm acknowledging my feelings more. I'm speaking out more. Allowing myself to experience them, anything I'm experiencing without judgment. I'm sharing more with the people that are close to me. I'm expressing more of my emotions truthfully, in healthy manners. I'm journaling more. I'm talking to my friends. I'm talking to, my spouse. And I'm just engaging in different things. The other day I went for a painting session with some other moms. Just trying to do things that relax me and give me that sense of I'm taking care of myself. Make sure that you embrace and keep your mindset positive. Shaitan is always looking for ways to come, but just try to have a positive mindset regardless of the season that you are in. Embrace change. You have to be flexible. You need to first accept that seasons are a natural part of our lives. It will bring opportunities, it will bring blessings, it will bring hardships, whatever it is. You need to understand that life on its own is a test. It will bring different things. And you need to be adaptable. You need to be flexible. Open yourself up to change. View it as a chance to grow and get new experiences. You have to build your resilience muscles, ladies. Knowing how to bounce back is a skill, is a life skill. So understanding that difficulties are temporary would help you a lot. Gratitude. To stay strong, to that experience that renewal in your being, in your soul, you need to make sure that you express gratitude. Regularly reflect on the positive aspects of your life and express gratitude for them. This one, I really, really thank, my friends, my husband. When I'm starting to feel like a Debbie Downer, they remind me about this. So if you have to keep a journal and write it down. Why? Those things that you're so happy about, those things that, Allah has blessed you with. Celebrate small wins, no matter how small. Recognize them, appreciate them, the progress you've made, the successes you've achieved in the past, whether you feel like it's 10 years ago. If that's what's going to make you come out of that funk at this moment, recognize it, appreciate it, no matter how small. This helps you keep a positive outlook and it keeps you motivated. Focus on the present. I cannot emphasize this enough. Do not go too much into the future. For me, the future is just there for you to catch a vision, then bring it back to the present. And don't go back to the past. So for me, for a long time, past was like my nemesis. I was always going to the past. If only I had done this, if only I had not done this. So you want to focus on the present as much as possible. Don't go searching for what you don't need to search for, because we don't know. We can only focus on the efforts. We don't have control over the outcome, right? So stay present. Do what you have to do now. Do not worry. And the past has gone. If you have to seek istighfar, seek for forgiveness. Learn, pick up what you need to learn and apply it in the present. That is the way to stay strong and have that positive mindset. You also want to set realistic goals. So in terms of goals, another reason why we're always like anxious or we feel like we are not achieving is because sometimes we set outrageous goals for ourselves. So set realistic goals, both short-term, long-term. The short-term goal will give you a sense of progress and hope as you're working on them. Then the long-term goal will give you that big picture, that you to keep that vision alive, keep your dreams alive, keep those things you want to work on alive, right? It makes you focused on the bigger picture. But short-term goals are also very important. Start small, but keep the dream big. So start small, gradually. Seek support, guys. Build a support network. Connect with your family, your friends, colleagues. Find communities that you can join. Reach out for help. Seek help. Don't hesitate to seek help from friends, trusted friends that that have your back, that love you. And if you have to go to the professional route, please do so too. Counseling, therapy, all those things are very valuable. So do what you have to do. Don't hesitate. Coaches, do not hesitate to take on their services, especially if you can afford them. Please do that. Open up. Share your journeys. Share your experiences, your challenges. Don't just bottle things up. These are things that have really helped me this past year, like really opening up to people that are trusted, that I know, that no matter what. And again, I always say that even if you open up and somebody uses it against you, don't worry, I'll collect it back from you on day of judgment. So no wahala, right? So so just opening up, it gives people the opportunity to offer you that support and encouragement and assistance that you need. Get involved in community. So I was saying that with homeschooling, I was so confused. I didn't know what to do. But what helped me was I joined a homeschooling community in Ontario here, and it has been phenomenal. Even if I'm not actively chatting or whatever, the resources they share, just hearing other people share their experiences as well, knowing that I'm not alone, helps a lot. I've met sisters, that and other moms that, we have built a relationship. We are nurturing our kids together. It's just very great. So alhamdulillah for that. Keep learning. Like I said, even all through what was happening, I held on to my Quran, my hadith, my Quran class and everything. I tried as much as possible to keep that stable. So that was a way for me to just hold on to something while every other thing I was trying to figure it out. No matter the season that you are in, keep learning and growing. So that brings me to the end of today's podcast. I hope it has been beneficial for you. Even as I have been speaking, I have more clarity. I feel a sense of ease. So alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Feel free to share your stories with me. You can email me, you can message me on Instagram. I am back on there. I'm not posting yet, but I am back on there. I would like to invite you to fill out a survey for me to gather what you guys would like to listen to on this podcast. I would really, 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 really appreciate it if you guys can just take 2 minutes of your time. I will put the link in the show notes. Just tell me, what do you guys want to listen to in future episodes of this podcast? It will help me curate topics. It will help me in knowing what kind of guests to invite, and we can all grow together and have a good time on here. Please engage with the podcast, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, like, share with anyone who you feel would benefit from it, join our mailing list, support our products, our programs. It will be much appreciated. I thank you guys for sticking with the podcast so far. Just keep sending prayers my way, and may Allah make it easy for every single one of us. So in this podcast, just a recap, we have spoken about, the seasons of life, embracing the seasons, navigating through the seasons, my personal experiences over the past 1 year, and also coping strategies, how we can grow through the seasons, how we can build resilience and keep stress at bay, particularly as, moms, as women. It's really not easy. I hope that with this renewed information, you're able to put things into perspective. And I really just encourage you guys to lean into your season. Know that nothing lasts forever. Just enjoy every present moment. So something that I've been hearing a lot lately is whatever season that you are in, enjoy it to the fullest. And it's always easy to look at things in hindsight, but how about we start really being present and enjoying it as we go. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope to see you in the next episode. So till then, stay radiant, continue to worship your Lord in the best way that you can, and I am sending love, light, hope, everything good your way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.